Hey everybody, it's Daniel from My Haunted Diary Communion and
Stephanie,
also from My Haunted Diary Communion, team members of Map It. And here we are. This is our second annual Halloween Spooky Spooktacular for the year 2022. How does that feel? Is that cool?
I like it.
All right. I mean, it's cool because we're doing some specials in with the regular series.
Yeah.
It's like you get over there, you check it out, you hit that like button, you hit that subscribe button so we can keep bringing you the fun like this. The spooky fun, because last year we did this at a different cemetery and it was pretty scary. So,
it was.
Because we could hear stuff moving in the woods behind us. So of course, what do we do this year? We throw ourselves back into the same environment. Ghost hunters are probably not the smartest people. I mean, let's just say it. They're probably not. We go into a lot of places we shouldn't. So we decided this time we were going to come out here to Emma's grave and hang out with Emma a little bit. If you watched, I want to say it was episode 50, I believe. Yep. We came out to Emma's grave and we did some sessions out here and stuff. And we consider Emma a friend of the team. Probably not cool that we're reading this little girl. Stephanie's already looking off to the side. We're reading this little girl some scary stories that we've accumulated from around the internet, and people have sent us a bunch of things, and we're going to see if we can get Emma scared. We should have brought a little blanket for her or something. So let's get right into it.
All right.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Stephanie is going to participate in the first of the scary stories. And thank you everyone that sent us stories, everybody on Reddit that contributed stories.
Appreciate it.
It is very nice. So hopefully your story is going to be here tonight. So, all right.
So this first story I have is from Reddit. And it says, my husband and I went to visit his mother at her friend's house out in the country, not too far from where we live. This house is old. To me, looked like the 1930s, but might be older. Filled with antiques. The story is that the previous owner from years and years ago actually died upstairs, but I can't remember how. I think just from old age. There was this huge antique mirror in the living room, and I was just looking at myself in it because vanity, when all of a sudden I feel something poke me behind my neck. Like a bony finger just slowly poked me at the back of the base of my skull. Freaked me out.
Yeah, I got the goosebumps. I don't like that.
I turned around and asked my husband and mother-in-law had they touched me, and they said no. Which I figured they hadn't, because I would have seen it in the mirror.
Yeah, all right. Well, that just kicks things right off to a good start.
Yeah, so, I don't know what I would do with that.
I mean, I've been touched before, but usually I feel like when I've been touched by something, it wasn't like bony. It's felt a lot different. So I believe I got touched a couple times at the Indiana State Sanatorium.
Yep.
And that felt like when you get a chemical on your skin. It felt like a burning sensation, which was really weird. It wasn't a scratch, but it felt like if you had gotten scratched, but there was no scratch. It just felt like that sensation. So a bony finger would not. I would probably throw a punch. I'm sorry. I think
At what, though?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd just turn around and take the swing. So you never know. You might connect.
Hope for the best.
Yeah, you might connect with something. So, all right. Shall I go next?
You're next.
All right. Stephanie's probably got more stories than me, but this is a little bit of a long one, but I really like this one. Little noises off in the distance, but I think that was just a vehicle far, far away. All right. When I was around 17, I encountered something which I irrefutably believed to be paranormal. I don't really know what it was, so I can't really consider it to be a ghost per se, hence my referencing paranormal. This person is a very good writer. I don't know if I should give like their handles from there or not, so I'm going to withhold them, but if this is your story, thank you so much. For context, which is needed, there was a lot of stress and uncertainty shrouding the family home. My mother had health-related concerns. She was working 2 strenuous cleaning jobs to try to make ends meet, but still falling short. She and my dad were engaged in a bitter divorce. My mother's employer was making her work overtime with little to show for in return. Not that my mother had many options. I was attending college with no way to support her financially like she needed. All of this accumulated stress, did you hear that? What was that?
I think it was a leaf falling.
Okay. I thought it might have been a bird, actually, but all of this accumulated to my mother's overwhelming stress, which we know from the paranormal, that's an environment that can actually, ramp things up. Stuff can feed on that energy, that negative energy. My mother had accepted an offer to house sit for her employer for a fortnight while she was away on holiday. My mother's mental health further deteriorated to the brink of, you understand, badness. So, she was not doing well. I took to visiting her daily and spending the evenings to try and raise her morale just to be there. I left once the sun began to set. I made my way home one late evening, as I had done many before. The sun was slowly sinking beyond the horizon. I arrived home, went inside, and I recall feeling this weird sensation. That's how I remember the feeling. It was like the feeling that something's not right, but I can't quite say what. I'm watching the TV, and I hear a thudding sound coming from the roof directly above. I get up, and I'm making my way upstairs. I enter the room where the noise is echoing. Nothing. Everything is as usual. I turn and make my way back downstairs. I can't recall how long had passed, and then again that thudding from the roof directly above. Only this time it sounds more forceful. I sit forward on the edge of the sofa and look up at the roof. The thudding continues. Thud, thud, thud. Again. What? Stephanie's hearing stuff. Hello? Something big or small?
It didn't sound too big, but
Okay.
It was definitely
We may not get carried off by a bear, but possibly a raccoon.
movement in the leaves,
Okay.
not leaves falling.
Oh, I was so into my story here, I didn't hear it. So
We can edit.
we are running like recorders and stuff too. We've got the REM pod set up just in case somebody wants to contact or whatever, because that's what we do. All right, so thud, thud, thud again. I haul myself upstairs and into the room. Again, nothing. The noise has stopped and nothing is out of the ordinary. I make my way back downstairs for a second time, now feeling slightly confused. I have goosebumps, by the way. The sun is now completely sunk to rest. The moon has risen to take its place. I turn off the TV and make my way upstairs. My intention is to brush my teeth and then retire for the night. I'm in the bathroom brushing my teeth when I hear a creaking sound on the floorboards directly out in the hallway. I stop brushing and glance out the door. As I finish brushing my teeth, I turn off the light and I turn left to head into my bedroom, and suddenly I'm startled as I'm confronted by something in my bedroom doorway. I remember it was dark. It was almost like a shadow, a silhouette, but its features weren't defined. I can't remember seeing any limbs or a face, neither a smell or any sound. I recall it was flickering like a candle flame in a breeze, a mirage, the rising heat in the distance on a sun-baked street. It appeared seemingly to be floating or hovering over the threshold. I guess that's very well written.
Yeah, definitely sets the mood.
A talon-like fear seized my entire being from head to toe. I trembled backwards, and forgetting myself in the wave of crippling dread which had mastered me, I called out for my mother and my brother, even though I knew full well they weren't at home. Finally, I backed into the wall and stood numb, wide-eyed, and slack-jawed, but still, whatever it was lingered over the threshold. I recall feeling a horrifying sensation of hostility which seemed to emanate from whatever it was. After what felt like an eternity, whatever it was grew larger within the doorframe before suddenly dropping to the floor like a sheet and vanishing without a mere trace of its having been there. I like that concept. It's really cool that it just, like one of those movies where you see it's like something under the sheet and then you pull the sheet and there's just nothing there. Yeah, I like that. That sounds cool. I lost my place, of course, but that's okay. I couldn't move. So I think I was a car. Maybe. I couldn't move. I felt paralyzed with fear. My heart was positively pounding out of my chest. I can't recall how long had passed, though it felt like forever, before I warily approached my bedroom like a curious cat, unaware of what lies ahead. Once inside, I felt a shiver trickle down my spine. My room felt like an icebox. I switched on my bedroom light, opened my windows to invite the outside noises in as a means of comfort as well as distraction. I opened the blinds, allowing the silver moonlight to pour in for extra measure against the dark. I turned on my TV and selected a random comedy on Netflix, I can't remember what, and turned the volume all the way up. Nothing else happened subsequent to the experience, apart from horrifying and vivid nightmares, which stubbornly persisted for almost a fortnight.
Wow.
That's pretty creepy.
Yeah.
That is creepy. For sure. Very well written.
I'm just going to look over here again.
All right. Stephanie's looking over here again.
Because there is constant, like, leaf movement.
See, I'm not really hearing it. Could be small animals. Could be bugs. Could be Sasquatch. No. If you're lucky, though, maybe I'll do a whoop before we leave here. If y'all are lucky.
We can edit out my fear.
No, that's the best part is your fear. We're going to highlight those parts. So I'm going to do a crazy zoom with the camera and put some like killer music in there. Yeah.
Killer leaves.
This is the best part. See, you get scared. Not that, I didn't get scared last year. All right. I think it's your turn.
My next one is also from Reddit. Because I've been staying in a hotel for the last week, and this place is creepy. The lobby is creepy. I'm not convinced that the person behind the desk is an actual breathing person. The elevator absolutely brings you to another dimension, and you can feel the energy change when you enter my room. I'm on the top floor of the hotel, and my room is right next to the elevator. I've spent most of my time in my room doing homework or just reading, so all quiet activities. For the entirety of the day, I heard the elevator open twice, and it was for housekeeping. No one else came upstairs at any point that day. I was sitting at the desk quietly while going through my note cards, and I heard something in the hallway. The loud screaming laughter of a little girl.
What? What are you looking at?
Emma?
Emma, don't listen. Don't listen. It's too scary.
I cannot stress enough that there is no reasonable way there could be a child on this floor without me hearing her and her family come up. Then, when I looked out the peephole, the hallway was empty, not a child in sight.
That's awesome. I don't even like that thought of, being in a room next to the elevator. And I don't even know why that creeps me out, but that creeps me out, a lot to think, you're right by that thing. So I see too many scary movies with scary elevator scenes is probably why.
Probably.
So, I usually don't ever think about that when I'm in an elevator, though, because I'm more concerned with falling to my death. So, so I don't usually think of the scary moments. So, the original, I think it was a Korean movie, The Eye. The original one has a super creepy elevator scene in it. So I will never forget that one. All right, onwards. We have many stories to tell before we get dragged off into the woods by hillbillies, mutant freaks. That's one thing to remember, Steph, is if there is something out here, you should be able to catch its eye shine unless
it's a Sasquatch.
It's a Sasquatch or a human. Probably an alien is possible. There are a lot of possibilities where you wouldn't get that eye shine, but yeah, so if we don't see eye shine, it might be worse. So anyway, my next story. This is a short but sweet.
Oh, I'm getting real bad tingles all along the back of my head.
All right. This story is from this this person's, I don't like to presume anything, this person's ex's stepmom in Philly. Her brother called an emergency family meeting. The brother had multiple things going on. He had a flower pot standing straight up that was originally somewhere else in his house. Lights would turn on and off. His girlfriend was freaking out, and then one day a face appeared on the glass of a picture hanging on the wall. He took a picture of it. There was an older lady with her hands across her chest. The picture was shown at the meeting. They agreed it was an old lady and to rip it up. The brother moved out of the apartment, and I was ticked that they tore up that picture. Hell yeah, I would want that picture. Freaking old lady. Hell no. We won't go. You're up, my dear.
Okay, this one's a little bit longer, also from Reddit. So when I was younger, kindergarten or first grade, my family, mom, stepdad, and sister, and I had moved into my new house. It was a really old farmhouse, and although it was big and somewhat pretty, it was really cheap due to the fact that there's an error. We'll start over. It was really cheap due to the fact that it was super old and things like heating and water barely worked. But at the time, it was all we could afford. After a couple days of staying there, I would start waking up in the middle of the night to the sound of a woman whispering right next to my ear. Her voice would slowly get louder and louder until she was screaming in my ear. I never understood what she was saying either. After a couple minutes, she would stop, and I would go back to bed and never mention it the next day. She would only come around twice a month, sometimes more, sometimes less. I would try to cover my ears or quietly whisper stop, but that never changed a thing. Later that winter, we ended up having to move due to the house getting too cold without heating. I thought the screaming lady would stop, but she followed me to the next houses I had lived in. One day, she finally stopped, and I totally forgot about the whole thing until I saw someone on TikTok share an experience kind of like mine. The weirder thing is, I would visit my dad's every other weekend, and I never had an experience with the screaming lady while I was there. Also, I had noticed it was way worse when I had a fever.
What do you have to say about that?
It's kind of weird.
It is kind of weird.
I think I'd be upset if some lady was screaming in my ear all night.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I've had things whisper in my ear in my sleep before, but
I know one
not
time
to change to a scream.
when we were at the old house still, I had gone home from work early because I wasn't feeling well.
Did you have a migraine?
Yes, I did.
See, because we're working on this theory. We got a theory here, so.
And I was home alone. Craig must have been at work with you because there was absolutely nobody in the house. And I'm upstairs in our bed, laying there with the covers up, and I hear, "Hey," right next to my ear. I was not feeling well, and I just said, "I don't want this right now. I don't have the capacity for this right now.
Just put up a Post-it note.
I will talk to you later.
Yep, we'll communicate later. It's like, for right now, just go find something else to occupy yourself. So, yeah, that we had a lot of craziness in that house. So I'm pretty sure I've had whispers in my ear before. I remember having those ones where, like, you feel like somebody wakes you up from your sleep because, and all of a sudden you're like, I can remember one of them distinctly was when Craig was much younger. My son, he was at school, and for some reason my alarm clock hadn't gone off, and I heard a voice, plain as day, say, "Get up." And it told me to get up, and I looked at the clock, and I'm like, holy crap, I got to go pick my kid up. It's like, that's one of those guardian angel moments or whatever, or guardian spirit or whatever. But I'm sure probably a lot of people have had that happen. So.
Yeah.
Doesn't make it any less creepy. I don't really want no ladies like yelling in my ear at night. Even you, because I'm trying to sleep.
Too bad.
Yeah. All right, onwards. It's getting a little windier here, so it may not be paranormal if you guys fall on your faces over there with the camera. We might have to set the camera back up because the wind's kicking up a little bit. So, okay, in 2019, my father passed away after a brief illness. The morning he passed, I really like this one. The morning he passed, I had just put my son on the bus to school. I was getting ready to visit my dad at the hospital when I just stopped and I knew I needed to call the hospital. After being transferred to his nurse's station, his duty nurse picked up. When I explained who I was and why I was calling, there was a pause. The nurse explained that she was about to call and inform us that my father had just passed away. Later that day, I picked my son up from school and I struggled to tell him how Grandpa had died. He's DS. What does that mean? DS. He's DS.
I'm not sure.
I wasn't sure if he could grasp the concept of death. As I'm sitting in the living room, my son is in my bedroom reading when he cried out, and I heard him running. When he ran out of the bedroom, he was yelling, "Grandpa's a ghost? Mama, how's Grandpa a ghost?" My son has accepted that his grandpa is a ghost, and from time to time, my son still talks to him in his sleep. That one's pretty cool.
DS is Down syndrome.
Down syndrome, okay. I figured it had to be something. We deal with many things like autism and stuff in our family, and so, we know how it is. So.
Yeah.
All right, what you got for us?
Next one. I was hired into a job in an assisted living facility with approximately 20 or so residents. It was a few times Okay, this is just weird. Worded weird. It was a few times I've seen this thing, but not as well as this one time. As I said, I've worked in this assisted living facility, working 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. When night fell, they were simply the worst times for me. While working or walking the halls to make sure my residents were safe, I felt watched. And not just watched by like my other coworker or residents. Mind you, in the evening shift, only had 2 staff members after 6, which was the end of dinner time, until the next shift arrives. Well, as I said, I felt watched, and it creeped me out, and it doesn't help knowing that this facility sat basically surrounded by the woods. But this small town was haunted, and known to be the most haunted in the U.S., which they all say. To give you a hint on where it is also known for the Sally House. Back to the story. It was one evening in November. It was time for the residents cleared and headed off to bed. So for mine and my coworker working with me as well, this night meant downtime. We decided to go outside for some fresh air and just play on our phones. That's when something told me to look, and I turned my head and saw a tall man, which doesn't describe any of our residents, in all black facing us through one of the side door windows facing the side porch where we were sitting. This man or thing had a top hat on covering half his face.
Oh, I don't like that.
I don't know what I did or why I had to look away for a slight second, but I did, and when I looked again, he was gone.
Top hats throw it into a crazy thing because a lot of people see the shadow figures that have like a top hat kind of a thing going on.
Seems to be fairly common.
We actually caught a picture of that. I'll intersperse this here so you can see, but we actually caught the guy with a top hat on Mackinac Island at the Island House, which I didn't feel that same kind of scary vibe towards him, but I've always had that scary thing with those, and I can tell you why, because this is going to be me flashing back because I'm really old, to Lost in Space, and there was an episode where they had these 3 dudes that kind of come out, and they all have black cloaks and top hats, and then just this glittery face thing, no features, no nothing. They scared the hell out of me when I was a little kid. So I was probably about 6 years old, 7 years old, watching my sci-fi shit and being like, yeah. So anytime you mention that top hat thing, it gets me a little bit riled. So, which the goosebumps are flaring pretty good right here. I don't know if Emma's around. I don't know if somebody else is around. I haven't heard anything moving around. You're supposed to say, neither have I.
Oh, neither have I.
You're humoring me again.
Never.
Right. All right, well, this one is from a hospital in Texas.
Oh.
This one's really good, too. Because you hear a lot of things about hospitals. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of death there. There's a lot of tension, a lot of different emotions. I mean, that's
sure.
like a fully charged battery there waiting to go. I worked in a hospital in Texas. We just moved to an older unit, waiting for our new unit to be ready. It had a strange atmosphere, but I liked working there. I was on my way to break to the break room to leave my lunch when I saw a guy sitting in a chair in a room close to the break room. I knew there was broken chairs and other things that needed to be fixed in there. I knew he shouldn't be there. I went into the room saying, "I'm sorry, sir, but you can't be in this room." He wasn't there. Later in the day, a lady from housekeeping was cleaning the break room. I walked in and she screamed. I asked her what was wrong, and she told me a man in a plaid shirt was standing behind her and just vanished. She was very shaken. The guy I saw also had a plaid shirt on. There was a room where we put empty trays after dinner. I walked in and a man was sitting there reading a book with his feet propped up on a table. I spoke to him and he just nodded to me. I went straight to the nurse's station and told my charge nurse that someone was in there. She said impossible. We ran back to the room, which was only a few doors down from us. No one in the room. They would not have had enough time to leave. There were a lot more things that happened, too many to tell. And there's actually another small story there, but I'm going to swap it back out to you, and we'll go back to this other one.
All right.
This person sent me two little stories.
Nice.
So, hospitals, creepy places.
For sure.
Yeah, all that energy is there. So.
Okay. So I moved into my new apartment in early March, and everything's going well, but sometimes some creepy, unexplainable things happen. The first thing was when my sister left her iPhone there. I'm not sure about other models, but hers specifically needs to be plugged in, and that morning it was going off. I got out of bed to turn it off when I realized it wasn't even plugged in. The numbers weren't showing or anything. I took it back to her right after that. There's also doors slamming. At first my roommate would swear it only happened when we closed each other's doors, but I showed him that none of the doors caused that. We went around trying all the different combos of doors, and there was nothing. Sometimes while I'm alone, I will hear an iPhone text tone walking around and some whispering. My dog freaks out at some of the noises, and other times doesn't even notice them. And the most recent thing is the appliances turning on and off. I was hand washing my dishes, and all of a sudden I feel a pool of water around my feet, and the dishwasher is on and leaking water everywhere. I always hand wash my dishes and have not turned on the dishwasher once. I turned it off and noticed it was also really hot, so I went to turn the AC down a little and it was off and at 78 degrees. And I usually keep it... What?
I don't know, I heard a couple. Almost sound like footsteps, like two footsteps. Reflecting on something there. Did you see that? I caught some kind of shine right there. I think it's stationary though. It's going to be a signpost or something. See it right there? It's stationary though. It's not eye shine. I don't think. I think we're okay. Right. Stephanie's not so sure we're okay yet.
Freaking me out, man.
I know.
Alright.
Oh, I don't see it. Oh, there it is. It's still there. Yeah, it's got to be like a post or something over there with something reflecting on it.
You say so.
I say so.
Okay. I called maintenance for the dishwasher, and it was absolutely foul-smelling water. My garbage disposal was all clean too, so I'm not sure if backup was an issue, but it's always a possibility. But basically, that's all the stuff that's happened inside of my apartment.
Yow. Stinky dishwasher. I
Yeah.
don't like that. So get rid of that damn dishwasher. I mean, if you're doing them by hand anyway, get rid of that thing. It's probably possessed. I'm just throwing it out there. That sounded like voices, but I don't think it was necessarily voices.
Sounded like dogs to me.
Maybe. The wind's carrying sound a lot too,
Yeah.
and it's bringing it right to us.
And distorting it.
And there's nothing really, I don't think, close to us, or we'd be hearing something. Stealth bear. Ninja bear. Ninja bears are about to attack us, so we got to get another story in here real quick. All right. This is from the same person on Reddit, and this is a little bit of a short one from their home experiences. So it's interesting because like they obviously have more than just paranormal experiences at that hospital, but also in their home. So when I lived in Virginia, I washed my husband's clothes. He worked nights and I worked during the day. I would fold his clothes and put them on a shelf at the foot of the stairs. Every morning, I would get up and the clothes would be on the floor. This always happened. My husband had not come home and there was no one else in the house. We wanted an apartment at this location, but no units were empty. 2 weeks later, the landlord called us to tell us, I think this is a precursor to it, that there was a room available. The lady who had lived in the apartment fell down the steps and broke her hip. She was placed in a nursing home. I felt that there was something concerning her that caused those clothes to be thrown to the floor every day. So that's short but sweet. That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
So very interesting. So,
Okay.
all right. I got two more.
I was 13 and I was sleeping in the living room one night because I felt sick and it was closer to the bathroom. I had fallen asleep and got woken up here and there by the sound of someone in the kitchen clanging dishes and running water. It sounded like they were washing them or maybe trying to make something to eat.
It was the lady from the last story.
Yeah,
She's
no
out there
kidding.
washing the dishes. Turns out they were each other's ghosts. That's the big twist at the end. Shh. M. Night Shyamalan, don't tell anyone.
I had 2 older sisters who were known to make 5-course meals throughout the night, so this didn't faze me. I was actually comforted because I was scared of being alone at night and I really liked my sisters. I had fully woken up and the clanging continued, and I called into the kitchen, "Hey, Allie," and as soon as I said it, the clanging stopped immediately.
Nice.
I waited for a response and no one answered. I immediately was kind of confused and a little disturbed. It wasn't too scary yet because I knew what I heard and it wasn't creepy. So I just got up and walked into the kitchen, and I walked in and saw no dishes moved out of place and no one was there. I slept with my sister upstairs that night after that.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame them. So that's pretty creepy. But I think we have a good storyline there. We're going to make that into a movie.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, this one's a little bit of a short one, and then I have one more that I think is my favorite, so I saved that one for last. All right. Some cousins bought and renovated an old hospital, another hospital-themed one. All the family was involved in the business. My mom was a doctor there, so I went there many times and talked to the staff. This story was told to me by the night nurse. Our very first patient was a pregnant lady. She gave birth and stayed the night. After some time, the night nurse went to her room to ask if she needed help. The lady smiled and said, "Don't worry, the other nurse just came, tidied up my room, put a blanket on me, and just left. She's such a sweet person." Bet you know where this is going. The night nurse said it was great and returned downstairs and asked the admin if there was a chance the day nurse was still in the clinic. In this clinic, there were only 2 nurses, one for day shift and one for night shift. There was not another nurse.
Nice.
That's pretty creepy.
Yeah.
So, I guess maybe not. I mean, it's like, man.
At least she took care of her.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's like a good night nurse. But nurses are kind of, I've seen too many movies. I watch too many horror movies, so. All right, what do you got next? You gonna scare me here bad?
I have a couple stories from some friends.
All right.
So my friend Carly.
So these are kind of more local.
Yeah. So this one would be Gaylord.
All right.
So Carly said she was living with her dad, and it was nighttime. You know, probably like 9 o'clock. She was home alone, so she had the TV on, but it was on like static, just for like a white noise, background noise. Yep. She went to the bathroom and was like doing her hair in the mirror or whatever, so the bathroom door was open. And she said the noise from the TV distorted, like it sounded like someone walked in front of the TV, so it distorted the sound waves.
Right.
And then out of the corner of her eye, she saw a white figure walk slowly past the bathroom door. So she went out and, turned everything on, and she was telling her dad about it, and he was like, "Oh no, there's no ghost, nothing." And she said about a week later, she came out, and her dad is kneeling on the couch, kind of like looking over the back of the
Oh, man.
couch, just staring. And she was like, "What are you looking at?" And he's like, "Nothing." And she's like, "You saw a ghost, didn't you?" He's like, "No, I didn't see anything. There's nothing." So she said she's convinced that he saw something. But
Living in denial.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
That's awesome. Awesome. So, all right.
And then my other two are from my friend Roxy, and they are in Hawaii. And she said the schools there during like World War II were used as hospitals.
Okay.
So a lot of the schools there have stories.
Yep.
So she said that she was in junior police, just like the safety patrol, you know, go out and hold the signs out and stuff. So she was in the closet area where all the hats and vests and stuff are. And there's a spot on the ceiling, a discolored spot, and the story was that someone was hanged or hanged themselves there. And she said she was getting ready and the closet door kind of shut on her, and then the last little vestiges of light, she saw a body like hanging
just from there. Oh man,
from the ceiling. So that's kind of creepy.
That's pretty creepy.
And then she said another time, I think she said, I mean, she was fairly young, like third, fourth grade. She was in the classroom and she was writing, and they had a cabinet with a big mirror. And she looked over and she could see a little girl in the mirror bouncing a ball.
Nice.
So she turns back down to her writing, continues writing, looks up, she's still there. Turns back down, writes some more, looks up, and she's gone.
Now see, we sit here and I get all excited, cool, and other people are like, what the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah.
It's like last night we were at an event and I just felt like people are telling me their ghost stories and I'm getting big grins on my face. And I'm like, they must think I'm just so weird.
Yeah.
So weird. So, all right, what else you got? Any more or is that it?
I think that's it.
That's it? All right, I got this one more. We'll get ready, we'll wrap up. So here we go, one last story. I like this one, I saved this one for last. I moved to a house in Hope, Rhode Island. It was a rent-to-own ranch house with a barn for my horses. The first night there, I was painting a bedroom white because it was pink. Understandable. As I was painting the bedroom door would slam shut, and then I could hear the doorknob turn, and it would open again. So, this would happen multiple times before I just took the paint can and kept the door propped open. I brushed it off as maybe a draft did this. Turning the doorknob, though, I got goosebumps right now. My hair's standing up. So, Emma, is this one bugging you? Get a little bit scary here. Hang on. All right. We all moved in, and my soon-to-be 4-year-old says, "Mom, there's a man in my room. He said his name is Cuppy. He comes running out to me and tells me that there's a man holding a hammer and told me, son, get out." This was unnerving, but I thought, well, it's his first night sleeping here. Maybe it's an act of imagination. I moved my horses in, and I'm absolutely happy. Every night when I walk back to the house from the barn, I can hear someone walking behind me closely. Something is there. I can feel it. One crisp day, as I'm mucking out the stall, my very happy dog is in the aisle of the barn near me and starts growling. The dog has never growled a day in her life. I look up, and there's a young man standing 2 feet away from me in the stall. He had shoulder-length dark hair, vacant eyes, a dark blue vest with no buttons, white shirt, and black pants. That's a pretty vivid description, so she saw him, but good.
Yeah.
I froze and looked down as if this wasn't happening. I looked up, and he was gone. My dog stopped growling, and I hightailed it back to the house. This place is haunted. I get back inside the house, and I tell I got more initials here, D.H.
Dear husband.
Okay, my dear husband. All right. People in their initials. I'm old. We use full words and sentences. So, I tell my dear husband. He works nights. One night I'm in bed, and I see these 2 bright orbs in my room just kind of hovering in the middle of the room. One disappears and then reappears right in front of my face. I turned over to ignore it and it took the sheet off my shoulders. I heard that if you acknowledge a ghost, then it will keep bothering you. I always thought that when I was a kid. So if ever I was spooked, I would just ignore them. It's like pretend like I was sleeping, whatever, so that they would just leave me alone.
I don't think it works.
It doesn't. um, okay, and the next sentence, this doesn't work, as I've learned. So, yeah, we all know that. We would hear someone walking with heavy boots in the hallway, a child laughing, but no one would be there. One day, my cell phone just flew across the room while sitting on a table. My dear husband and I both saw this. I said, I told you this place is haunted. One night I felt like I had been slapped. The right side of my face was bright red. I called in a paranormal group to investigate. They found there were multiple entities and a portal on the property near the barn. I have a few EVP recordings. The man, called Cuppy, was the guy who built the house. That was his nickname, a version of his last name. He had a heart attack on the property and died. Needless to say, I was able to break my lease and move. I wasn't buying this house. Since we moved, she sold the house, and I wonder if the new owners have encountered anything. That's a pretty good one. That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
We're not always big on the whole every paranormal group finds a portal everywhere, but could there be such a thing? Yeah, I don't rule it out. So, I'm not going to judge somebody else's investigation, if that's okay. So, yeah, so I don't know. We made it through. It's a little spooky out here, but I think we held our own pretty well. So
Anything with nature is spooky.
yeah, the wind kicked up now, so I think it's helping us to not hear some of the shit that's probably going on around us. So, which is also the
But
prime.
it's making more noise.
Yeah.
It's blowing the dry leaves.
That's also the prime time when the ninja bears actually start to move up on you,
Yeah.
and then they grab you and pull you off into the woods. So Emma, did you have anything to say or to add? Well, thank you. We're just going to assume there was something there. So I guess that's about it.
Yeah.
This is our special. Don't miss our regular episodes. We got a lot of cool stuff over there, man. We're getting close to our 80th episode. End of the season. Big stuff. This is cool because this is going to probably pop up by about on Friday here, and we're going to be into the Halloween weekend.
Yeah.
And we've actually got some interesting stuff going on for Halloween, and more investigations and stuff, and it's going to be cool. So with that, I guess we're going to say, keep it real spooky, and happy Halloween.
Thank you.
All right, now, the only last thing we have to do is we have to stand up, and we have to get over here and do the skeleton dance. Ready? Ghost, baby. Ghost. All right, don't fall. But yeah. All right, we got
Chest bump.
chest bump. That's way too dark, right?
Is it?
Yeah, we're gonna have to use the flashlights to some extent, I think. What if you turn the flashlights on in the pockets of the chairs? Give us a little ambient lighting. Or we could even maybe set them up behind you. Or maybe off camera. Here we go. This might work.
What about just using the flash on the camera for the video?
Oh yeah, never mind.
Are you high?
Well, there's always that possibility, babe. You just gotta roll with it. Sit down, so I can see your beyond your booty here. That's going on the outtakes, We got that one. Oh yeah.